Standard Manufacturing Company G4S. Let's check it out. Today we're going to take a look at the Standard Manufacturing Company G4S. This is a little 22 that's based a lot on the old Thompson machine gun. It has the same kind of feature. It has that stick magazine. It fits in that same kind of position, and it has a bolt at the top where you have your charging handle, and it's just a really cool and different type design. And it's in 22 long rifle. This is a 10 round magazine. They do have a 50 round drum available, but it's a lot of fun to take to the range. Now, Standard Manufacturing Company makes a number of different products, including really nice 1911s and also Colt single action replicas. And they are really fine quality. They're up in New Britain, Connecticut. They also make the Thunderstruck, which is a two-shot Derringer that fires at the same time, and a lot of different shotguns. There's a lot of things that Standard Manufacturing makes right here in the USA. Now, Standard got in touch with me, and I was aware of some of their products, like the Thunderstruck, but I didn't really know a lot about them. And so they said, we're going to send you the G4S, and you can keep it, and if you like it, do a review. Well, here we are. And we want to thank Standard Manufacturing Company for sending the G4S for this review. Well guys, here is the G4S. It is in 22 long rifle, based somewhat on the Thompson Tommy gun design. The magazine is straight walled. It fits right into the middle of the receiver. And we'll take a look at some of the details. This has a lot of features to it. Now we're going to safety check the GS4. First off, you have a magazine detention lever right here. That just holds the magazine into place. But you can't pull this out until you pull the bolt back. And if you just pull the bolt back and relieve the tension, you can pull it right out. But you can also pull it back to a certain point, engage your bolt lock, and now the magazine just comes right out. This is a 10 round aluminum magazine. We have a couple. In fact, when they sent this, I asked them to send a few extra magazines. They do make a 50 round drum with this as well, but of course YouTube won't allow us to show that, so I just told them to hold on to that. Now you can see the chamber is empty. There is a small little feed ramp, but here we can just pull the bolt back and release it, or we can hit our little slide stop and it'll send it right home. And you'll notice that right here, again, it's just very similar to the Thompson machine gun. We can pull that back, and again, just lock in our bolt. So you have that open area where you put the magazines in. Now with the Thompson, you put them straight through. They can be a pain in the butt, especially with the magazine catch on the Thompsons. And so this is just kind of a very unique design. I've never seen this before, but I think it's pretty cool. Now these guns are made to be fired rapidly, and of course with the 50 round drum you could definitely do that. This is actually a blowback action, but it's an air-cooled blowback action, and that has to do with the magazine and this area being open. Again, just like your Thompson Tommy gun, except this is in 22 long rifle compared to 45 ACP in the Tommy gun. Now this magazine has to go straight in. It's a little bit of a different manual of arms, and to be honest with you, it takes a little bit of getting used to, because you have to it has to go exactly straight in. When I first got it, I was kind of angling it at different places. It was a little difficult. It has to go again just straight in. And then you can bring down this lever, and that just locks it into place. So if this is not pulled down, this magazine can come out just like this. It's funny because the first half of range day, I did not engage this little magazine retainer lever, and we never had any problems of them coming out. I mean, it's actually pretty solid in there, and the bolt actually keeps it in there. So if we drop the bolt, this magazine is very difficult. It doesn't come out anyway. It has aluminum blocks on the back and on the front, and they correspond with grooves on either side of the receiver. Just like that. Now the slide stop is engaged. All we have to do is bring it down, and if we bring it down one notch, it's on safe, and then bring it down all the way and it's on fire. Now your charging handle is knurled all along the top, but this is also your rear sight because there has a groove through here where you look through to find your front sight. And the Picatinny rail in the back does have a groove through it, and the groove runs all the way through the Picatinny rail that runs on top. Then again, you have Picatinny rail on the bottom. Now what's really unique about this handguard too is that you have M-Lok slots and Key-Mod. M-Lok Key-Mod. And so that gives you a lot of options. If you happen to have a lot of Key-Mod accessories or M-Lok accessories, you're going to be able to attach this on here with no problem. And a lot of times, guys, if you switch from Key-Mod to M-Lok and you still have those Key-Mod accessories, just makes it really easy to drop those in, especially for a little 22. This is a very strong polymer handguard. Now on top of the receiver, we have Key-Mod, M-Lok Key-Mod. I don't really know what use you would do this with unless you wanted to put an offset sight on here and kind of mount it over it. But you know, it's there and it carries through the whole theme of the gun. But this polymer goes all the way back. It's part of the thumb hole stock and it's part of the pistol grip. And then we have the aluminum receiver that's underneath the polymer. It's a 7075 T6 aluminum. That also carries all the way down through the trigger guard, and you have a metal trigger with serrations. We have a 6-position collapsible stock. It has a rubberized cheek piece on top. Of course, you have your lever for adjustments, and you have multiple points to put slings, and we have QD ports on both sides. And we also have a rubberized non-slip butt pad. It's very smooth on the stock, and again, it does have 6 positions. We have an aluminum barrel with a stainless steel sleeve. That really just keeps weight down. The rifling goes out to 14.5 inches, and then you have this small little compensator that brings this out to 16.5 inches. The comps has 4 slots on top, and it also has your blade front sight. The overall length is 35 inches with the stock closed. You can extend it out to about 38 inches. Now the weight on the G4S rifle with a magazine included is 4 pounds, 10 ounces. Now these magazines are all aluminum, and of course you have your blocks. Very easy to load with just 10 rounds, but you know, sometimes, especially with 22, it can be a little bit of a pain to load. But these were really easy. To be honest with you, when I first got it, you know, I was a little bit concerned about reliability. It's a kind of a different design sometimes with magazines like this, and the way the bolt design, you know, I just was curious, especially with 22. But guys, we didn't have any problems with it. In fact, I took it out about 3 different range days, and the first range day I just loaded up a couple of magazines just to make sure the thing would function, and it just ran like a top. Here you can see the bolt underneath, and you just bring that back, and there's a sweet spot where you find it, and then it'll just lock it. It's right inside the circle, the enlarged circle. And then again, when you're ready to fire, loaded magazine, just drop it. And there is your front sight. You can see it right there. It shines just a little bit, so it allows you to see it, but I'd like to put a little bit of white paint on that. Now, trigger pull action. Have a little bit of take up, but it's not a lot. And then a nice break. A little bit of hesitation right before the break, but very crisp. Reset. Right there. Very close. Let's check the trigger weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 6 pounds, 13 ounces. 6 pounds, 7.7 ounces. Guys, one thing you don't want to do is dry fire, rim fire a lot. But they do recommend dry firing actually in the manual just to get a feel for the trigger. And it doesn't hurt it if you do it a few times, but you just want to be careful. We really appreciate Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo. This is some of their bulk high velocity stuff. It shoots really well. And we also appreciate Standard for sending some extra magazines. That's one of the things that's kind of difficult when you're doing a review, is having 1 or 2 magazines, and so they sent some extras and we really appreciate it. These magazines are really easy to load. The lips, the way they're fit, they just fit down in. These are 10 round magazines. They do have a 50 round drum, but YouTube does not allow anything over 30 rounds. Now, taking the G4S to the range, it's a very reliable little firearm. Sometimes you don't know. I mean, you take them out, and especially with 22, they can be finicky. And then with this different style magazine setup, you know, it's just different. And so you have to pull the bolt back to release the magazine. But it is a little 10 round aluminum magazine, and it's got a lot of little heft to it. Now, one of the things about these magazines, again, is they're a little bit difficult at first to get used to. The latch on the front and the back, they correspond into the receiver. You've got to have the bolt back, and then it just slides in. Sometimes it can be a little slow sliding in. But the more that we used it, the more that we shot it, it just became more natural. But it is a little bit different. Also, that little lock that comes in, and it just holds it into place. But what's funny is I was shooting this quite a bit without the lock deployed, and the magazine stayed in place. I mean, it's in there pretty solid already. That just gives you an extra security right there to keep that magazine. But, you know, shooting it from the top, and it has that little groove, and you're looking down the sight, I mean, it's a pretty neat little firearm. The adjustable stock, it is 6 position, so you can set this up however you want to. And of course, you know, you've got your pistol grip, but it does have the thumb hole stock. But it doesn't, to me, take away from the looks of this firearm. It's a very unique looking gun, but it shoots very quickly. Again, we had no malfunctions at all. I mean, it just ran. And it gives you a lot of options here at the front with the different M-Lok and Picatinny rail sections. So it gives you both, plus you have your Picatinny rails on the top and the bottom. The little compensator, of course, it is 22 and you don't notice it that much, but it does protect the barrel. And with this 14.5-inch barrel, of course, this gives you that 16-inch minimum, and it doesn't add anything as far as length to the rifle. Overall, we had a lot of fun with it. It's just one of those lightweight, little handy Type 22s with a totally different design. And that's one of the things I really love, is taking out something that has some innovation to it. Now, yes, it was inspired by the original Thompson Tommy gun, and that was a very proven design during its day. And so it's nice to see bringing back older technology and just kind of updating it to something a lot of fun, like a little 22. I love taking 22 to the range. It's so low report, low recoil. You know, it's not expensive to shoot, and it's a lot of fun. And anyone can take something like this out and enjoy it at the range. Now, because YouTube doesn't allow any modifications to the firearm, we didn't put a sight on here, which would have really increased the accuracy on this rifle. And really, for accuracy, I like to put a little scope on here, but we just went ahead and shot it with the iron sights. There it is. Now, to take the polymer receiver off, there are 10 screws that hold this in. And there's 2 different sizes that you use. There's a very small size that attaches directly to the receiver itself. And then we have small little bolts in the back, and that way you're not stripping out the polymer. But to take off the polymer receiver, you're going to need to remove all of those screws. I'm just going to show you after we get this off, because all you do is take these screws off. And here you can see the little bolts that are placed in here, and it keeps them from turning because they're hexagon shaped. Now, here we have everything removed. You can see the quality is really high. The polymer actually hides it, but this is your aluminum receiver, and of course, you know, you can break this down even more, but we're not going to do that. For basic cleaning and maintenance, I mean, this is going to be fine, but it just allows you to get more into the chamber area. It's a little bit tedious taking the 10 screws out, but it's not that difficult. It's really easy to do and then to put back on. And to take off your handguard, there are two separate screws here and here, and so you just unscrew those. It will not take it all the way off the barrel because the sight keeps it from coming off, but if you want to work on anything, you can just pull this off and get to your action. This does come with a little bit of a different type lock. You have this little piece that you put right through here, and then you take your standard gun lock and just run it through. That's going to keep this from firing. And now it's locked down, and you know, it's going to be safe, especially if you have kids around. One of the things about 22 rifles, or rifles in general, is that they have kind of that same look after a while. And I think this is a really cool design. There's definitely a lot of creativity that's gone into it. It's different, and the manual of arms is a little different. But different is what leads us on into the future. And so I think that this is really a cool design, using the aluminum all throughout with the receiver, and then of course the polymer, which has proven itself to be super strong. And being a 22, I think mounting a sight on here would be fine. I think it would hold up well. It seems to be very rigid. It's part of the receiver. It's built in really tight. But for me, I love seeing new firearms, new designs. It doesn't always have to be something tactical. It can be something you can just take out and have fun with. But a lot of times this appeals to a younger crowd. And so this is something that a lot of guys might want to take out, do some shooting. They can add accessories to it. They can kind of tack it out if they want. And it makes it a lot of fun. It's just not your standard 1022 with a wood stock. Even for that matter, the takedown model, which honestly I'm a big fan of. But this just brings another type firearm to the table, and it just gives us more choices. And I really love that. And it's one of the things that a lot of times smaller gun companies can do because they are more innovative. It's easier for them to tool up and to experiment and to do some different things that we're just not seeing in the bigger market. I mean, there are guys that'll take their 1022 and they'll put all kind of stocks and different accessories on it and mod it out. And this one just happens to come already fairly modular, and yet it does have that different kind of, you know, Tommy gun look to it, which I think is awesome. And a drum magazine in here would be great. Now, this is a new offering from Standard. Again, they do a whole number of different firearms. The retail price on the G4S is $649. Market price at your local gun shop, you know, you just have to see what kind of price it comes in. The magazines are $49 a piece. That's a little bit high, but they are all aluminum and they're proprietary mags. The drum is $250 for the 50-round drum. So guys, it's definitely a different design, which I love to see. I mean, we need that innovation all the way throughout the gun industry, and it's just great. A lot of them are inspired by earlier designs, which, you know, even if you take music for that example, I mean, there's inspiration that goes to make things better and better. This is definitely different. The magazine, again, is going to take you a little bit of getting used to at first because it's such a tight little fit. But that also leads to better reliability. It's a different design. It's a lot of fun to take to the range. This isn't something that you're going to be counting on necessarily for self-defense, but it would be great to take out and plink. It's great for hunting if you want to put a nice little scope on here. And again, it's just a lot of fun. And again, Standard Manufacturing makes a number of different firearms, and their 1911s are really on par. I mean, they are excellent firearms, very high quality. They're single action revolvers, of course, they're shotguns, and a lot of other things that they make. And again, we want to thank Standard Manufacturing Company for sending this little G4S for this review and adding it to the Sootch compound. It's just going to be a lot of fun. We love shooting 22. Guys, check out Sportsman's Guide for all kind of accessories, shooting, hunting, camping, military surplus from all over the world. It's one of my go-to sources, and you get $20 off for every $100 or more purchase using Sootch, S-O-O-T-C-H, in the coupon code. And if you're a member of their Buyers Club, you get free shipping. And that really comes in handy when you're ordering jerry cans. So check out Sportsman's Guide, great resource. Be strong. Be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. is polymer, but it has aluminum inside. I mean, you can, this is not polymer. I did not engage my bolt retainer, or my, now there is a safe, which is half, now because YouTube, yet there's a lot you can do with this. I don't know, I don't like any of that. I don't like that intro. That intro sucks.